Okay.
Welcome to the Leighton Inclusion, where we talk about the difference between kindness and cruelty. And today we're going to be obviously emphasizing kindness because that's how I go, with an emphasis on cheering people on and international love. And I've got a special guest,
Mhm.
Charu Suri. How are you?
Hi, and I'm great. I hope you can hear me.
I can hear you loud and clear, and you can hear me as well.
I can. Yeah, it's finally great to finally connect. Yes, thank you so much for having me on your show.
It's so wonderful. Charu is many things. She is one of the best keyboardists in an eclectic genre of raga, rags, jazz, and she is also a performer, a teacher, and she has studied here and overseas and performed all over the world. And I'm blown away. I did not realize that you were a teacher as well.
Yeah, I have my own music academy, and I teach many students piano, primarily. Yeah,
And all kinds of music because if you have many students, they all have different things that they love.
mostly classical, but
Okay.
I since I specialize in Indian ragas, especially translating it into the Western sensibility, many students are coming to me for to learn ragas on the piano, which is very seldom taught. Not a lot of people teach it. It's very niche. Most people
Hmm.
learn ragas either as a vocalist or an instrumentalist.
So raga has a kind of a mystical kind of energy, and it's not to. I know it's not to be confused with Turkish music, right?
Yeah. Raga is essentially an Eastern scale. So you know how we learn C major, G major, ragas like Kalyani Bhairavi are like the Eastern equivalent of the Western scale. There's so
Did,
many of them.
did we have like John McLaughlin was involved with a raga?
Yeah, John McLaughlin used ragas quite a bit in his Mahavishnu orchestra.
That
Yes.
was it. That was the group. That was the
Yes.
group.
Yes.
I have to also confess because while I was learning about you, I mentioned your name to a friend. They said, "Oh, I played with her at
Who
the
was
rock
this?
show, Denizone." Does
Uh,
that name ring a bell? Like many years ago,
what's his name?
Joe Denizone. He's a violinist.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't we we haven't played at Rockwood. Did he confuse me with someone else? I don't know.
He may be
Uh,
confusing the venue
yeah,
location.
yeah.
Um,
I know the name, and think I have. I don't know if he was on my show in Rockwood, but I will look it up. But yeah, that's a wonderful musician, and I've met so many amazing, like really out of this world musicians doing what I do, and people who want to learn
right.
uh the repertoire of the canon of the ragas and what they represent.
Absolutely. And there's a spiritual nature to the ragas too.
Well, ragas are supposed to be played at a certain time of day. So we approach music in the West kind of like it's very perfect, C major has 12 notes up and down. Ragas sometimes have like 5 notes up and 4 notes down, like 6 notes up and 3 notes down. And each one is supposed to be played at a very specific time of day because that's how the
Um,
ancients played it. And so translating that kind of energy and translating that kind of spiritual quality to Western music has been a joy. And when people listen to my music that I use the ragas as the inspiration and the basis for my compositions, they can really hear that energy, like an
yeah,
evening energy or a morning energy or an afternoon energy. And it just all encourages us to slow down and truly savor the beauty of the moment.
that might be what I heard in you when I first heard about you with the indie collaborative. We were working
Right.
on a concert, holiday show in December,
Right.
and your music stopped me because it was something that I never had heard, even though I've heard Americanized fusion type
Yeah.
artists, but not this. And
Yeah, it's very new. Thank you so much. Ragas are very seldom used in mainstream music. And then when in my work with jazz and now with world music and classical music, I'm really trying to bring that to the mainstream. And people have exactly said that. They've been stopped in their tracks at how incredibly beautiful and powerful they are. And I'm actually surprised they're not used more often. And I kind of took them for granted growing up when I was a child because I learned them when I learned them as a vocalist when I was 9 years old. But I was predominantly like a concert pianist and a sort of a piano virtuoso. So I almost poo-pooed the idea of delving, into the ragas. I was just like, yeah, whatever. But then when I grew up later on and I really started to miss them, I missed the power and the purity and the beauty and the essence and the energy and all of those things that connect us to that moment. And so always I joke yoga was born in India and raga was also born in India, and both of them are kind of like the same, have the same goal as rooting you in that moment and that spiritual
yeah,
being.
it's self-reflection, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yes.
And now when you combine that with classical music or classical influences, is it music or influences? And is it also when you combine it with jazz music or jazz influences?
I do think that my raga jazz is jazz, but it's distinctly different because you're using the modal scales from India to play and improvise, and even the harmonies as opposed to the Western scale. And then my new album, Shayan, which I'll debut at Carnegie Hall, that is my first work using ragas that is much more classical in nature. And you'll hear it. It's just got such amazing energy, but it's more classical. It doesn't have jazz. Oh, thank you. And look at that. Thank you for that backdrop. And that's the cover. Shayan in Sanskrit means deep sleep or rest.
Oh, I like
And
that.
the album deliberately uses all evening ragas. And imagine there are over 500 ragas, right? There's 12 major, 12 minor scales as opposed to over 500 ragas. And
Hmm.
I've selected 7 beautiful evening ragas to serve as the basis for this album. The premise is that we are living through, I think, one of the most extraordinarily stressful periods in history. And I
Yes.
know a lot of people, including myself, are not sleeping well. Very, very hard to sleep. And so I'm writing this as an ode to people to help them. They listen and hopefully they'll get that wonderful peace to just sleep better. And I've actually tested this on many people, and we're going to take it to people like healing centers, trauma centers, senior citizens homes, etc. And a lot of people have heard the compositions and they said they've never felt more at peace and more comforted that they can actually go to sleep. I never said anything about the album. They actually listened to it, and that's what they said to me. So I feel that the ragas are doing their job.
My therapist is going to love this.
Ah, there you go. You're a therapist. You just need Shayan. You don't need therapy.
Last session, I was like, well, I wrote down phone and I got 2 joints, 2 marijuana joints, and I was able to sleep. And then
That's
she
so
said,
funny.
no, no,
Yeah.
I want you to
Yeah.
try
No, because
EMTR or whatever.
the CMTR is a thing. It's a buzzword right now, and I have to tell you, and I'm going to tell this at Carnegie Hall. It's like we have had melatonin, we've had OxyContin, we've had EMTR, we have had the CBD gummies,
Yeah, yeah,
and I'm gonna say toss all of those out the window because they're all band-aids and they're all trash, really. We don't want anything like that in our bodies. We need good, pure, holistic, beautiful energy. And I'm basically marketing this as a pill and a CD, a sleeping pill and a CD, oral sleeping pill. But it's so crazy. It's like, the the Vedics, the very ancient, this is over 2000 years
Oh,
old. Yeah, this is,
hundred.
the ragas are over 2000 years old. So they never had pills or anything. They just, were in tune with nature, and they had
Right.
healing energies that they translated into scales and they passed down from generations. And that's what these are.
Well, they didn't have our president either.
Yeah, they didn't have the crazy mess that we've created. And the thing is, just like listening to some of this purity, it's like folk music, There's something
Yeah,
incredibly healing about folk music. I mean, it's so simple, so beautiful, but at the moment I listen to a piece of folk music, I'm like, oh, thank God. I mean, just really, can we just go back to a simpler time where it was just a very pure moment. And now I feel like everything is a complete mess when it doesn't have to be.
it does not have to be.
Yeah.
We've got, I mean, I'm very thankful because I've fallen with between you and a bunch of other musicians in the Recording Academy,
Yeah.
which the Grammy people,
Yeah.
there are a ton of Indian musicians
Yeah.
that have lightened up my day, and some of you folks are
Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it beautiful?
yes,
Like Indian music is this very, very, very spiritual music. And it's very calming and very healing music for the most part. Almost all of Indian music is very calming and very healing. I did not expect my journey to go this route, but the more I started to mature with my own voice, the more I realized that I needed to create my own musical world, not for anybody else, but for me.
right.
That's how I started writing these things, and then raga jazz and everything. I just started writing them for me because this is the only thing that made sense to me. These sounds made sense to me. They comforted me. They gave me love and hope and like something warm and fuzzy and so beautiful. And then I just started playing them and people were like, "Oh my God, I want to hear more." So it comes from a very authentic place. But yeah, and it all comes from that Indian mindset of that spiritual music.
I want to bring something out and tell you a short story. You spoke about creating your own musical world. And I was
Yeah.
listening to an interview with a Texas artist last night, and he spoke about Johnny Winter,
Yeah.
the late great blues guitarist, who wanted to play real Muddy Waters inspired blues. And he
Yeah.
was working on that, and then CBS signed him and said, no, you need to go more rock. So, in other words, they changed who he was. And then,
Yeah. They labels do that. Labels do that.
yeah,
He
ultimately,
probably, yeah. I bet you he rebelled against that and went back to his roots. I bet you that's what happened.
yeah, after a couple of records, which did great, but it got on his nerves and it really affected his health because he was doing
Yeah.
hard drugs. But
Yeah.
ultimately, he got clear for that, went to the rehab, and focused more on the blues, signed with Alligator Records, which is a
Wow.
blues label, and just is do did what was what he really wanted to do. And
Yes.
yeah, when you talk about your own musical world, that's the reality. It's not the music business, it's your music business.
That's exactly right. I mean, you can fool some people some of the time. You can fool people all of the time.
That's
And
right.
that's what I say, like, if you're not true to your authentic voice, and now the raga jazz is a thing, like people come to me for that. I have students like a wait list, and I have people that just want me to play raga jazz and nothing else. They don't want me to play covers or anything like that. They want me to be very real. Um, and I'd much rather have that than me being an also ran or a carbon copy and me trying to do something else just to sell records, because as you said, I can probably do that for one or two records. I don't know if I can do that forever and eternity because that's not my authentic voice.
Yeah.
And then many musicians spend their entire lives trying to find what it is that they authentically want to do and they truly want to do without sounding like they're compromising or selling their soul to the devil.
Yeah.
So I think it's so important to be very, very true to your voice. Like like Patti Smith is like one of my heroes, and
Sweet.
she's
Jersey.
just, yeah, she's just like was such a rebel, and she just did her own thing, and I love that. I love that. Like, and I see Billie Eilish, right? Because I love listening to Billie Eilish. And then you go to a typical pop or rock concert and you expect the volume to deafen and shatter your ears, right? And you're like, oh my God, I don't think I can ever be the same ever again
No.
after concert. And then, Billie Eilish comes along and she like completely dismantles the status quo of what pop music should be. I love that. I think that's just being very true to who you are.
Mhm. Well, the brother as well.
You're breaking up a little. Okay.
Her brother, testing one, two. Her
Okay.
brother Phineas also changed the rules
Oh
about
yeah.
production.
Yeah. I mean, it's a wonderful. They're a power family. It's just wonderful to see that. And I've seen so many people in the course of music who are like to, we mentioned John McLaughlin. He's definitely one of my heroes. Um, and I also think that, in when I was a kid in Princeton, I played a lot. I played my music, and I was composing from it when I was a child. So I had a lot of pieces debuting there, for orchestra, etc. And
Burn.
Yo-Yo Ma, and Edgar Meyer.
Oh no. No, you're blacking out. We lost you at Yo Yo Ma. We try this again. Testing one, two. Oh,
Yeah, okay, now I can hear you. Yeah, Yo-Yo Ma and Edgar Meyer played in a piece there, which was so beautiful. And I remember connecting a lot to Edgar. Edgar was just such a light, one of the greatest double bassists of all time, of course. And he was so blown away by my talent. He was like, and I didn't even think I had talent. But Edgar was so complimentary, and he was just like, you kid, you have it all. I just take it to the highest level you can go. And I was just I was humbled that he would say that. And but Edgar is an example of a double bassist who's done so much so authentically. Like
right.
he played with Yo-Yo Ma on the Silk Road album and on the Appalachia, I think it's called Appalachia, the album that they did. But it's all like folk music, double
Mm-hmm.
bass, like folk music. And he takes so much authentic traditions and brings it to the mainstream, and I love that. It wasn't like your typical double bassist journey.
That was kind of like, well, Falou Shah and her
Yeah,
the American Patchwork group.
yeah. Oh no, that's a fantastic group. She's doing amazing work. She
Yeah,
and
it was
Clay
amazing.
Ross, I mean, really
Yeah,
something really
play.
special, very very special. Yeah,
But that's an amazing album, and I can hear her roots in that
yeah,
record. But
yeah.
I know that she's also, if she came out in the 60s or 50s, she would have been in one of the leading girl group singers or something like that.
I think it's so, yes, and I think this is the danger. You see, this is, I think, where American music is to really grow up. I think if this were a Europe, this would be a completely different thing. Like, I am planning to do more European tours and really trying to take my music to Europe, because when I played in London last year and Italy, they got it. They just knew exactly what it was doing. So I had people come up to me after my show and say, "Gosh, I can hear Mozart in that, and I can
Yes,
hear a little bit of Bill Evans here, and then I can hear Charu Suri." And then I'm like, "You get me. You totally get
yes,
me. Like, I don't have to explain myself. You totally get me." I think in American music is dominated by the pop charts and, the radios playing mainstream music, so that most people are, I call it like year washed into listening to a certain type of music. So it's not their fault. It's just that, the same thing is just fed again and again and again and again. And then the algorithms say you have to be like them, sound like them. You have to sound like an Adele. You have to sound like this and
Yeah.
to sound like a Sabrina Carpenter. And then and then you try to do something different and people don't know what to do with it because they've never heard anything like that before because that hasn't been fed to them. I think in the European canon, because they've had so much incredible music and so many, game changers from Handel to Bach, they've they've been fed all of this game changers, that have shaped the whole course of music from the very beginning.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but that's why when we market, we're not going to get. Let's pretend there is 1,000 people that are, if we're doing folk rock music like American Patchwork
yeah,
versus Bruce Springsteen, and he'll get 1,000 placements because he's a star. And
right.
maybe American Patchwork will get 600 of Springsteen's placements, as well as some world music and as well as some traditional folk outlets.
Yeah,
And or and that's where the individuality and the uniqueness of the campaign, marketing campaign, runs. And that would be
yes.
the same with you or whoever.
Yes, I feel like, someone came up to me after my show at Drum and said, "You branded yourself very well." And I said,
Yeah.
I don't know if I've branded this is my voice. And I think I had to call it something, so I called it raga jazz or raga work with ragas. And because that is my authentic voice, but I had to put context to what I was doing because most people heard it and they did not know what to make of it. So I think when we label things like folk or rock or Motown or soul or R&B or funk, we have to give it some context because the listener doesn't know what he or she is hearing. But when we give these keywords and latch words, they'll be like, okay, I get it. I get what they're doing. Like country, I get what they're doing. But, the danger is that you don't ever come out of that tunnel. You're in that tunnel for a while, for a long
Right.
while. Um, and so when I look at, I was just talking to my husband earlier on today, and I said, Shayan, which is going to come out, will be my first non-jazz ode foray into ragas. And already I've had a conversation with a choral director who wants to take it and make it into a choral work.
Right.
Uh, we want to push it out to symphony orchestras and string quartets, etc. Um, so the ragas have so many channels. Like they can be classical, they can be jazz, obviously, because my last album, Rags and Ragas, was all jazz with like John Patitucci and Steve Gadd. And so they can also be classical, they can be jazz, they can be also purely Indian with some modern touches or modern raga. Um, and I was just telling Matt, my husband, like how versatile is pop. Like you look at pop and you have I've heard remixes in pop, so which is great. It becomes house music or dance music. It's pop music, but world music that comes from different cultures has so many places to go. And
Yeah.
I was telling Matt probably the one person I know who's really killing it in that way is John Batiste. Because the guy can just do anything. Like he is one of the very few people I know who can come out in the same year with a funk album, an R&B album, a jazz album, a classical album, and all of them be just insanely incredible. So, but his knowledge of music and his versatility and his ability to morph is just really off the charts. It's very, very special. So I just think that the more people we have like that, you mentioned American Patchwork Quartet, the more people you have thinking that way, or different genres or straddling genres, the more
Yeah.
music will expand and become something bigger than it is.
Absolutely. And as far as finding an audience, I think it really is comes down to the person's connection with people
Oh,
and
sure.
not being
No,
a
no
douchebag.
question.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think the human connection is so important. I don't know how, no matter how important you are, how accomplished or virtuosic you are, if you can't relate, I mean, the whole idea of music is to relate in a human way to what you're hearing. And if I cannot find that soulful connection, I'm tuned out. I tune out and like that. I can't
right.
stay with you. I can't stay with you and have a conversation.
Yeah, that's really important. There's another element that I want to get back to because you were talking earlier about having this music coming out and influencing Edgar Meyer and so on as a youth. Do you
Right.
still have the quote unquote child, the little girl in you
All
as
the
an artist,
time.
inner
All the
child?
time. Oh, always. In fact, I'm nothing but child now that I've become older. I find so much joy in being childlike and getting that joy because music is about having fun and about playing. Once you
Right.
stop playing, then you've kind of lost the whole purpose of it, really. For me, I just find that innocence and that joy, that creating beautiful phrases and textures and everything is a very childlike thing to do. I have to have it. Otherwise, the music doesn't, resonate. It becomes
You're
very clinical.
and you get excited about, oh my God, I just created something, blah blah blah.
Yeah. I mean, I was just playing the album all the way the drive here, where from my family, and everyone got so super excited by it. And because if you don't get excited by your own sounds and your discoveries, then you can't relay that joy to others.
How do you keep the child with your art, but the responsible side as a mother? Because I know that
Yeah.
we had a day or a couple of days we were gonna do this interview,
I
and
know.
it's like, you know what, I gotta take care of my kid. Blah blah blah. Here we
Yeah.
are.
Well, that's just what I do. I prioritize, right? So, being a mom is about prioritizing. If she comes first. If she doesn't have food, or she does, if she's sick, she needs to be, someone has to be with her. She takes number one priority. So I've traveled with her to so many different places and so many different venues, from the LA, from the Grammys to Miami to Italy last year to,
Wow.
we're thinking of taking her to London, to my London shows. I've like tried to take her everywhere I can within reason, within the school year, etc. But she is also going to school and she should not miss school. So during the school year, we really try to prioritize her schoolwork and her education. But I learned the most from the being on the road, even as a child, because my dad took me everywhere, from Europe to Africa to India, even from the age of 3. And then we went to opera houses, we went to ballets. So I had amazing experiences and memories as a child. So I don't want her to not have that. So I think it's a fine balance. But when she needs to pull the plug and say, Mom, I'm a kid, I need to be with my stuffed animals or my video games or my comic books, I'm really like, okay, then that's what you need to do.
I understand that. And traveling around the world, how how does that stop someone from feeling excluded? How does that connect people with others? Or even in your neighborhood, if you're in New York City and you're meeting people from different cultures, or is it people or is it architecture? What do you see when you go to South Africa or someplace like that, which is someplace I'd like to go someday?
Yeah, I've been so blessed. I've traveled all over the world so many times. It's been great. I love to learn about the culture, the architecture, the people. I'm kind of a nerd, so I'll be the person asking all of those questions to random folks that I just met on the bus, or just at the concert, just to get a bigger picture of where I'm going, what I'm seeing, what I'm tasting, what I'm listening to, what architecture I'm seeing. so that I get the maximum experience when I'm in
Ah,
a particular place. I'm also a writer, so I like finding the news. I like finding the story, the backstory behind things, because I love I don't want to take anything for granted. And especially when I travel, I've now gone and played so many shows in so many places again and again that I've started developing a groupie and a following. Like in Miami, I have like a residency there. I go all the time and play. And now people know me. They're like, oh, Charu's coming back. We can go listen to her. So then I have
Betsy
extended and
Hotel.
yes, Betsy Hotel, which has the longest running jazz program, 7 nights of jazz a week, and it's been amazing. And I'm back there in August. And so I sit and have conversations with the locals and the residents, and I've seen everything, they go to, from like the hurricanes to like the
Mm,
to spring break and all the crazy the crowds that were there for spring break and beyond. And so you start to develop these amazing relationships based on your performances there, which is really nice. And I like to just find out what the locals are up to, because I love talking to people.
absolutely. Some of us, someone like me, would travel and a lot of times just stay locked up in her hotel room as
Yeah.
opposed to going out and seeing the bands or something like that.
Right. Right. Going out and seeing the bands is great. I mean, New Orleans is a great example of a culture that is truly warm and embracing. Like I fell in love with jazz when I went to New Orleans, and now I play all the time with the jazz legends out there. And that's also a very amazing culture of connecting through humanity and through the music.
You're a magnanimous person too. I've I've seen you post show where everybody is surrounding and you give everybody a couple of moments and talk with them and things like that.
Oh, thanks. I try to, because I was very lucky, and was raised in a very loving, beautiful, wonderful way. I had great piano teachers, and I had lots of great mentors who were very magnanimous to me, and I just want to pay it forward.
Did you ever feel isolated in any way?
I can't hear you, and you're breaking up.
Oh, testing. One, two. Can you hear me now?
It feels like you're underwater, and something just changed. The settings just changed. Let's
No,
see.
I think
Okay,
it's
now
just,
now it's better. Yeah, now it's better.
were there ever times that you felt isolated
Oh,
when
all the time. Yeah, very, very. Music and creation is a very lonely and isolating occupation. The thing is, I mean, I'm also a writer, which is also can be isolating and a lonely occupation. But the great difference is, once I started concertizing and touring and bringing my music on the road, then it's just becomes this beautiful art of connecting and being there with the people and sharing in a live setting, and that changes everything. um I think isolation is inescapable, especially if you're composing or creating. It's just part of the calling. um but I also light up, because now I have I mean, my latest work, Shayan, I can't tell you how many people wanted to be on this album. It was just like almost like a 180 degrees when I first did my album, and people didn't even know who I was, to where I am now. And I have people knocking on my door. It's like, can I be on your album? Are you full? Have you finished recording? I want to be on your album. Like, can I please audition for you? I want to be on your album. And I was just like, whoa. I'm like, how did this happen? That's so crazy. So I think that isolation has slowly started to turn into something really beautiful, like, connection and community connection, which is great.
collaboration? I know one
Collaboration,
person,
yeah.
Anita Lerche. And
Yeah,
I love her. I mean,
she's incredible. Yeah,
I didn't realize she was so connected with everybody,
yeah.
but it was like if there's one person that totally knows how to promote herself. Well, there's a bunch of people that know how to promote themselves, but I I've always been impressed with how she does it, and
Anita
her
is such a radiant soul.
vocals. Wow.
She's a radiant. Her vocals are incredible. She's on the
Yeah.
album. She's a very, very selfless, just a beautiful, beautiful human being. We have quite a few of those souls on this album. Shayan, Premik Russell Tubbs, who's an incredible flute player. And speaking of John McLaughlin, one of the original players on John McLaughlin's Mahavishnu Orchestra, he's playing flute. So he's on the album on so many tracks. Tess Remy-Schumacher, the cellist, is on my album. And I have Jim Kimo West, who's playing guitar on two
Mhm.
tracks, and so many incredible musicians. And I have a wonderful string quartet arrangement of one of the ragas by Raniero Palm and the Venezuelan strings, which is so
Wow.
beautiful, beautiful. And I have like, flute players like Ravi Chandra Kulur from India who just killed it on one of the tracks, and Haruna Fukazawa, a wonderful Japanese flute player that I've played with before. And Max CT, who was like an ingenious dulcimer player, has this incredible duet on one of the tracks with the dulcimer and cello. It's just dulcimer cello using raga jog, and I
Wow.
and I promise you've never heard anything like this before in your life. It is so mesmerizing. I played it, and I just I myself fell off the chair. I'm like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. And I
I
think they're
s-
going to play
mhm.
live at Carnegie Hall on July 25th. That
Yeah,
thing.
I saw your post about all the spiritual energy that we should be aware of coming up on this album. And yeah, July 25th, you're playing at Carnegie Hall, and that's exciting. And some you've got special guests there.
Yeah,
Anita's one of them.
Anita's
And
one of them. Tess will be one of them, and Premik will be one of them.
cool, cool. And w- I'm just very excited about that, and people will be connecting uh for that for sure. I've got a few fun questions to ask you, and then we're gonna
Yeah,
like, what's your favorite TV show?
I watch Frasier a lot. A guilty pleasure. I love the show.
Oh my God.
The writing is so
Perfect.
great. Yeah, the writing is great, and the characters are amazing. I adore it.
Cool.
I
Do
used to
you
watch Cheers too, and then I just branched off to Frasier.
I hear you. Well, humor is always fun. I've been binge watching Blossom lately. I'm looking for shows about women. I'm also watching Scandal right now, and
I've heard
I think
that's good.
yeah, and everybody's got such dark sides to them. Nobody is so pure in it. It's they're just
Like
all,
Dexter.
I need to watch Dexter. I've heard about Dexter. What place do you recommend us going to of all the places that you've traveled? Do you have any favorite places?
Yeah, New Zealand. If you
Oh,
want
wow.
peace, yeah, I've always said this in all my travels. I would love to retire there. There's more sheep than people, but the landscape, the wines, the topography, the health, the air quality, as hands down one of my most favorite places. It's just a remarkable, remarkable island. And the interesting thing is the flora fauna is so different from the rest of the world because it was cut off from the rest
Right.
of the world during Pangea, and so it developed its own
Mm-hmm.
flora fauna. So it's like you're going to a different place, but it's
Well, that, yeah,
so beautiful, so beautiful.
I know. So I'm a cat person. By the way, do you have any pets?
I have two cats. I have two
Oh,
tuxedo cats.
ah, somebody's. I've been dreaming about getting a tuxedo cat
They're
lately.
dressed
So,
for the concert all the time. I say joke.
yep. But as far as anthropology goes, the history of how animals have split off and things like that, you
Yeah.
do not have any cats that are native from Australia. uh,
Oh, yeah,
America.
because they never were there. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all interesting. You have animals that look like cats, but like, you know, kangaroos kind of have something going that are like saber-toothed tigers, but that's a whole other eh, show.
It's so interesting to me. Yeah, New Zealand is one of them. And then I love parts of Africa. South Africa is very beautiful. And I love Canada. I went to the Canadian Rockies on a train and it was beautiful. It was through Banff and everything. It's just insanely gorgeous. And of course, Europe. I lived in London, so there's so many beautiful parts to Europe. I love, yeah,
Mhm.
France and Germany. But yeah, the world's just a gigantic place, and many places of great beauty if you can open up your eyes to it.
Absolutely. So you're going to see a movie tonight with your family?
Yeah. So my daughter is turning 13 on Tuesday.
Happy
I,
birthday.
we just sang happy birthday to her. We're at a drive-in movie theater. It's one of the few remaining drive-ins. She loves driving. And what is it? We're How to Tame Your Dragon, I think.
Oh, of course you are. That's
Yeah, that's her pick because it just came out and that's a birthday gift to her, How to Tame Your Dragon.
absolutely. And your website is,
Charusuri.com.
and we're good. And I want to thank you. Do you have were there any questions I should have asked?
No, I think
Oops. I think I think we lost her. Oh, well, it's just me. Wait, she's come back to say goodbye. Maybe, maybe not. She was in the admitting room, but I understand. Two people entered the view. I'm trying to get you in. Admit all, admit all, joined, joining, maybe. Let's on the phone, and I'm gonna pick up the phone. Hi, Charu. Oh, wow, that's so weird. And I have a subscription to Zoom, but I think we covered everything. I'm talking with this is my Bob Newhart invitation. So let me just sign off and let everybody go. And I'm going to take this on the phone in one moment. I want to thank you for coming here, and we're going to uh, keep rocking. Thank you all.